I think that's why the Rock Resurgence podcast needs, it'll start doing better once we get some better looking guys on there.
Yeah. This lineup we got here will help for sure.
Yeah.
Nice, guys.
All you guys. So, fuck you.
I need something to beat off to later.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that.
Nothing wrong with being gay, I'm serious.
If Titanic floats your boat, then that's what
Fucking new guy.
All right, assholes.
I frequently consider doing that to Brian whenever.
I knew that was coming up. There it is. But you never do.
Yeah.
You get to see Marissa Tomei's boobs.
Maybe later you'll beat off into a sock or something.
You didn't invite me?
That's going into montage for sure.
Okay, here I come into the conversation.
Technical difficulties.
You haven't been recording all the cool shit I just said?
Oh well. Hoo-hoo.
Welcome everybody to Rock Resurgence Radio. I'm Chad, the host.
And I'm your co-host, Bergie.
Hey, today you can see that we got a bunch of very special guests and one new guy. The new guy we got with us is an old friend of mine from back in the day. His name is Stace Foskey, and he's coming all the way from Georgia, and he had the idea for this episode. I'm going to let him tell you what the episode's going to be about. He can just tell us what we're doing.
All right. Well, I been sending Chad some ideas. Some he's accepted and some he has not, and which is to be expected. But yeah, I floated the idea of like the best, hair metal soundtrack, and he sends me a text back and says, "All right, we're gonna do it, but it's no holds barred. It doesn't have to be, like hair metal or anything. It can be." If Titanic floats your boat, then that's what. Anyway, that's how this all got kicked off.
Yeah, so it should be a pretty fun episode. So we all picked out five soundtracks to movies that we all like. And I know Jay had sent something. He kind of did a little something different where he wouldn't even pick it if it had been previously released on an album or something like that. It made it even more difficult. The way I did it, the first five that came into my head, went into my notes on my iPhone, and I stuck with it. Your mouth, though. Yep, yeah. And they're going to come out of my mouth. And I'm kind of kicking myself for it too, because we got together today, Chris and I, and we were kind of talking about, and he came up with a couple good ones, and I'm like, holy fuck, I didn't even realize that, and I didn't realize that was there, and I'm like, oh shit, wow, I'm just going to stick with it, pissing. I already wrote notes.
Chad's got one on his list that I'm embarrassed that I didn't think of. But anyway, we should introduce our guests. Where do you want to start?
Let's start top left with Brian.
Hey guys, Brian here from the Hairband Basement. I'll go through my plugs. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at HB Basement. Every Friday night, I got a show on Station Head where I play the deepest of tracks, the rarest of bands, and the little-known artists from before, during, and after the decade of decadence. So just download the app, put in Hairband Basement, check out my show, and that's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. And we'll move on to Hair Metal Guru.
Hey, all right. Yeah, my name's Anthony. They call me the Hair Metal Guru. I have a channel on YouTube, Hair Metal Guru, doing a lot of the same things you guys are doing, talking about the greatest generation of music of all time. And you can also find me on X at Hair Metal Guru. I have two Facebook pages, Classic Rock Fargo and Hair Metal Guru. And hey, it's awesome to be here. And you might see my dog Charlie, who's very famous on YouTube. She might be popping in from time to time too. So thanks. Looking forward to this episode.
Okay, next we got Jeremy with Michael Myers, shall I say, also known as Michael Myers, with us today.
How you doing, guys? I'll take off the mask. Just wanted to start the episode off with Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. Got the Pennywise shirt on tonight. Happy to be here doing this with you guys. I had a lot of fun picking these out, so thank you guys for letting me be a part of this.
Absolutely. And then we'll move over to Stace, who kind of introduced himself a little bit, but tell us what you're doing. I know you got some music on Apple Music, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm just Chad's buddy, from back in the roll at North Dakota days. So yeah, I've got some stuff out on Spotify, Apple Music, and it's not hair metal music. I've got some rock stuff, but I have now later in life transitioned to doing Christian music. So
Good on ya. Good for you.
Yeah,
What do you play?
I play guitar. I mean,
Nice.
yeah,
guitar and he sings.
guitar, bass. Yeah.
Yep. And he
Cool.
actually, fun fact, he sang at my wedding in 2005. So,
That's right.
Thanks for not inviting me, asshole.
yeah,
Whenever
no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't invite you to mine either. Take the fucking
it
hint.
was our pleasure.
What about the jerks?
So, Stace, do you play with like the local church band, or do you go out and play at different venues, or what's kind of your shtick there?
Oh, now it's an interview.
Hey, I'm sorry. Serious.
It's okay.
Yeah, fucking with you.
A fun fact, the church I go to is an a cappella church. So we don't do any instruments or anything. So all my, playing instruments, I do gig out at bars and stuff.
Okay, right on. Good for you.
All right, we will move on to Jay.
Oh, thanks for having me back again, guys. This was very hard to pick 5. I could have done 15. I mean, that's great choice. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us for this.
Yes.
We're gonna
Thanks for having us.
soundtracks, and I know we have had discussion this week leading up to this about soundtracks for TV shows and things like that. So there might be some stuff like that in here. So
Yeah. I mean, there was,
it was really
No,
hard
it-
for me. I
wasn't going to put any limits on it. I mean, like I said, if Titanic is your thing and then you want to put it on there, put it on there. I don't care. Music's music, man. It all makes the world a little bit better, even if we don't like some of it.
well, why don't you start it off then?
Okay, I'll start it off. Yeah. Let's see. My number 5 is going to be Maximum Overdrive from 1986. Horrible. You're going to find a theme with my picks. They're typically all horrible fucking movies, but they got really good soundtracks. So Maximum Overdrive, it's all AC/DC. Little fun fact about it: it cost $10 million to make, and it grossed $7.4 million.
Nice.
Stephen King movie. But anyways, it's all AC/DC. So how can you go wrong? I mean, shit. They came out with one new song, Who Made Who on it, and that song kicks ass. So I like that song. Got some other ones, Shake Your Foundations that I like, Sink the Pink. I mean, come on.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to pick that song.
I wonder what they're talking about when they mean sink the pink.
Of course you do.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that. Hanging around your damn Charlie too long.
That's a red
Anyways,
rocket. That's a whole.
Hey, she only likes me as a friend.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
yeah. But anyways, that is my number 5. Came out in 1986. I mean, if you like AC/DC, you're gonna love the soundtrack. I don't know. It just popped into my head. Like I said, I picked these kind of. As soon as we said we were gonna do it, I said, okay, I like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and I put them in my notes on my phone, and I didn't. I should have. There's others out there that are much better than some of the like this one and
Good
a
pick.
couple other ones, but I liked, like I said, the movie is horrible, but the soundtrack's good. So
Awesome.
your number.
My number 5, I struggled. I went back and forth. I probably didn't prepare as much as I should have for this episode, but my first instinct to go with number 5, which is not my pick, but I just want to mention it as kind of a honorable mention, was heavy metal, the heavy metal soundtrack. But I listened to it from start to finish again, and I'm like, nah, I just don't. There's 4 or 5 great songs. Love the Sammy Hagar song. Anyway, my actual number 5 that I picked was the Wayne's World soundtrack from 1992. So it came out in 92. Had a mix of rock and metal songs. I mean, it starts out with, everybody knows, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody was big scene in that movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of dig Queen. I like Queen a lot. Red Hot Chili Peppers on there. I can live without that a little bit, although I do like the Chili Peppers a little bit here and there. But it had, stuff in my wheelhouse, the Bullet Boys, Cinderella, Rhino Bucket, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton. I mean, Alice Cooper. Just a good mix of stuff on there.
Yeah, very, very good. Yep.
So that's my number 5. Who should we move on to?
Well, I can't see.
Yeah, sorry. Well,
Hey, here's my new Rhino Bucket shirt.
Oh,
Fantastic.
sweet.
Nice.
FYI, I heard you mentioned the bucket. I'm a huge fan.
yes.
I am too. I just listened to him on the way over to Chris's today, and so what I did is I got what I got on Apple Music. I went through every album, and I favorited all my favorite songs on them, so they're all in like a favorites folder. And God dang, they got a lot of good stuff.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think Pain is on Apple Music for some reason. I don't think that album is on there.
I'm not sure.
But
A
anyway,
lot of these soundtracks are missing songs on Apple.
Yeah, that was the hardest part, Brian, was
Yeah.
finding all the tunes.
Right.
Really had to dig.
Yeah, I'm going to mention one that's a great song that isn't on Apple Music, and I can't find it on there anywhere.
Yeah.
since you might as well go next.
Me?
Right. Yep.
All right. Well, you guys said soundtracks to movies. I got one from a TV show because fuck your rules. We talked about this when we were texting each other. The soundtrack.
Way to steal this from me, asshole.
Oh, well. Hoo-hoo. Go to your emotional support dog and get over it. But yeah, I picked I picked the soundtrack from the show Peacemaker, and the show is great. But I'm just going to go through the bands that are on this soundtrack because it's a combination of old and new stuff, some rare things, deep things, known bands. You got Vane, the Choir Boys, Faster Pussycat, Pretty Boy Floyd, Tiger Tails, Nashville Pussy, which is a great band if you ever check them out. Foxy Shazam, another great band. Firehouse, Santa Cruz, Kissin' Dynamite, Vane's and Jenna, Hanoi Rocks, Enough's Enough, Motley Crue, Lita Ford, Kicks, Hardline, Steel Panther. I mean, it's a amazing collection of music in this show, and you watch it, especially if you're a fan of this stuff. And you do that meme of what's his face, Leonardo DiCaprio picking his fingers and pointing at the screen. You're doing that almost every 5 minutes of the show. But also the selection of songs are unbelievable, and the way they put the shows within the storyline, it fits so well. And I just had to put this on here because the collection of bands is just unbelievable. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, I just recently binge watched this show. I actually started it, must have been about a year ago or whatever. Maybe watched about half of the first episode. It's DC Comics.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I literally just watched all 8 episodes of the first season probably in the last 3 days. So a good show.
It's hilarious.
The soundtrack is better than the show, but yeah, it is very funny. A lot of clever lines in it. Good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Jesus, just by the amount of bands on there.
Yeah, have you seen the show at all?
I haven't,
Okay,
but
check
I
it out
want
for
to.
sure.
And you guys, we were talking about that through text or whatever, and I was like, I don't think I've ever. And what did you say that was on, Brian?
Max.
HBO Max, or what the fuck it's called now.
Yep.
But that's why I watched it, because people on X were talking about the soundtrack, and they started mentioning the bands. I'm like, Vane is in a TV show. How the hell does that even fit in there?
Yeah.
Watched it. Yeah, the show is hilarious. It's really done well. I'm not really a huge fan of like comic book movies anymore because they got so old and overdone. But this was just a good show, and the song selections are just unbelievable.
Cool, man.
Brian, what I loved so much about it, Brian, was like how many times the main character, Peacemaker, like actually looked at different things from the 80s. Like he'd go into a place that he was trying to see, a real dramatic scene, and he'd stop and look at the record collection, and you'd see Pretty Boy Floyd and Cinderella.
Yeah.
And it's like, God dang, they just put that into a television show. And that in and of itself was enough for me to like the show. But I love the show. I laugh my, off every freaking time I watch it. So no, it was really well done, especially if you're a metal fan, man.
Because the one scene he's looking through records and he picks out a bit of what you fancy from the Choir Boys.
Yeah.
He plays one of the deep tracks and starts going off about it. And I'm like, who the hell even knows about these guys at this level? It's just crazy to see it in a TV show.
It is.
Yeah, all of
That's
us
cool.
here do. And that's
Yeah, it's like if we wrote the show and made the soundtrack ourselves. Like, let's put all the shit in there that we like.
Yeah, well, that was an awesome pick, and I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, I will definitely check that out because that's a lot of good bands. We'll move on to Hair Metal Guru, man.
All right. Oh, my top four is set. My five, I was still. So I'll just tell you really quickly. I'm between Less Than Zero and Point Break. So I'm going with Point Break. Point Break is from 1991. It starred Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, and it's an action-packed movie about this. He's like an FBI agent, and he goes undercover to bust up this gang of surfers who rob banks. Anyway, it's
Looking like, is that the one they wear the presidential mask?
yes,
Yep.
they wear the president's mask when they break into banks, and Keanu Reeves is the FBI agent. So that was part of my thought process. It had to be something that I liked. I wanted the music to add to something that made it even more enjoyable. So I didn't pick any shit movies, though I probably could have. So on the soundtrack is you get Rat Nobody Rides for Free, which was actually released as a video, as a single, great song. LA Guns Over the Edge from the Hollywood Vampires album.
Yep.
And then kind of two lesser known bands that I really like, Shark Island with My City and Little Caesar with Down to the Wire. And those are both great songs as well, like two bands that should have been bigger. So 4 legitimate hair metal songs, great movie from 1991, comes in at number 5.
Awesome, good pick. We'll move on.
Little Caesar would have been bigger if they looked better.
Oh yeah,
that was one of their downfalls. They weren't pretty enough, and a good band. But
I think that's why the Rock Resurgence podcast needs, it'll start doing better once we get some better looking guys on it.
Yeah,
this lineup we got here will help for sure.
Yeah. Through the roof. We'll go on to Jeremy now.
All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Anthony, I'm right with you, man. I kind of went with the songs that enhanced the movie for me, and not all these movies were great. Let's be honest. There's some real turds in here, but I just want to give a couple honorable mentions. I swear I'll keep it quick. Scream 3 had some great tracks. Daredevil. I revisited that. I did a lot of homework for my number 5. My number 1 through 4 I had in my head immediately. But man, I listened to a lot of music this week, and I thank you guys for that. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey with one of my favorite Megadeth tunes, Go to Hell. And then Hot Rod is pretty much a Europe soundtrack, and Europe was one of my favorite childhood bands. So that almost made number 5. So with all those honorable mentions, I have to actually go with a genre that isn't my favorite, but this movie is so great, and the songs from this genre that they chose were so great. And that's Dazed and Confused. Love the movie. I absolutely love that movie. So many quotable lines that people use all the time. Guru, you kind of use it in your intro and just switch it up a little bit. But you think about, what you have on there. You got School's Out for Summer. You have Slow Ride, and Brian, you as a bass player have to just love that slap of the bass on that one, man. So you got that. You got Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. You've got Jim Dandy's probably the corniest song, but you hear it and you think about that scene in the movie, and immediately you're just in a great mood. You've got Stranglehold. Played that one in Abrasion and just love that tune with passion. Lowrider, played that in band in high school. We actually played that in marching band. Another fun song, Paranoid, Black Sabbath, Enough Said. ZZ Top with Tush, one of my favorite ZZ Top songs of all time. I know I'm missing some because, again, they don't show every one. What am I missing? What is that song? That chick band.
The Runaways. Cherry Bomb.
Yes.
What is that song called, guys?
Cherry Bomb.
Box on the Run.
Thank you. Cherry Bomb. One of my
Cherry Bomb was a
favorite
Box on the
songs
Run.
by them. I actually had the pleasure of playing that, opening up for Hairball in Fargo. And that song just has a special place. But the movie does too. I mean, it just makes you think of high school, makes you be in a good mood, and the soundtrack fits right along with it. So that's my only classic rock on this list. But that's my number 5.
I almost had that on my
That was a
list.
good pick.
Did ya?
I almost had it there. I was like, nah, I got something else I got to put on there.
There you go.
All right, Stace, we're on to you.
Number 5, is amazing. And I actually did the opposite of some of you guys. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna let the movie factor into it. Although you're gonna find out that later, one of these, the movie absolutely factored into it. But yeah, I never even saw Demon Knight, to be honest. It's got such great songs on it. Cemetery Gates from Pantera. I mean, absolutely unbelievable song, although it is edited and it cuts off the end, but still great. Diadems from Megadeth. That clean guitar intro is just so good, man, just insane. And then you got Instant Larry from the Melvins. Like, the lyrics are kind of hard to understand, kind of like my microphone, and so uh but the music rocks like so hard on that song. It's so good. And then of course you got Hey Man, Nice Shot from Filter. Is To me, that's a classic. I like it. I know from watching some of these roundtables on you guys's uh
You're gonna
YouTube,
get shit if you do grunge. Yes.
I am going to get some crap from you guys for liking grunge. Anyway, I'll take it.
We'll
Wait,
dish
Real
it out.
cool, Stace. Real cool. Way
Demon
to come in
Knight,
here and rain on our parade.
Demon Knight does have some, I don't know what I might call rubbish songs, though. Like, it's got, I don't know, I just can't stand Tonight We Murder from Ministry or My Misery from Machine Head.
Okay, we'll move on to Jay.
Okay.
By the time we
My
get,
criteria for this, it was pretty simple. There wasn't something specific to the movie on the soundtrack that was unreleased at the point of when the soundtrack came out. It instantly disqualified it. If it was something that was just re-released old music, it instantly disqualified it for me. That took out, actually, Dazed and Confused. That took out The Wrestler. Took out some
Ooh, the
really
rest.
good stuff.
One.
Um, I would have a couple of honorable mentions because, like I said, I fought with this.
Yeah.
My 4 and 5, I finished picking them last night. I could have had Encino Man. I could have had Strangeland. I could have had Light of Day. The Wildlife, which
All right, get to your 5 already, Jesus.
oh, shut up, Brian.
He just named Brian's whole list.
Well, that's why he's so pissed
Good night,
off.
everybody.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's like, there goes my list.
All right, my number 5 is, Jeremy, you'll appreciate this considering the holiday, is Shocker.
Yes, sir.
Dews of Wrath. I really wish they had done more than just a couple songs.
I agree.
There we go. Because what was it? It was Paul Stanley. It was Guy Mandude, Vivian Campbell, Rudy Sarzo, Tommy Lee.
Yep. Kane
And
Roberts.
I mean, the song Shocker is kick ass. I love it.
Yeah.
Bonfire, Sword of Stone,
Mhm.
fucking awesome.
You bet.
Let's not forget Dangerous Toys, Demon Bellas,
That's a great
fucking
tune.
screaming.
That chorus is undeniable.
Oh yeah, and then let's not forget about the music cameo in the movie, Kane Roberts.
Amen.
Anybody remember where he was at there, the construction worker?
You bet he was. He grabs the necklace and tosses it in the water.
Yeah, and much like was already said, if I didn't like the movie, I didn't even look at the soundtrack.
Okay.
So the movies are all something that I actually enjoy watching, which is why Titanic did not make my list, fellas. Moving on.
hey,
That was almost
not
on my
gonna be
list
number one.
too. I had that on my list.
My heart will go on.
Ugh.
Screwed up.
Okay, Ryan's number 5 is Shocker from 1989. He says, Dudes of Wrath, look at their insane lineup. Megadeth, Bonfire, Soraya, female fronted.
The
His
other one, yeah.
favorite on the album is Voodoo X. He says Jean Beauvoir of Crowns of Thorn fame. Very good album by Voodoo X from 89. Check that shit out. Shocker is his number 5.
This
Can I
might
do-
be the first time Ryan actually agreed with somebody inadvertently with My number 5 pick.
That's the power of Guy Man Dude. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is Everybody Cut Loose, Foot Loose.
All right.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually watched it.
What?
What?
I know it
Oh,
sounds great.
right.
That Dirty Dancing I've never seen.
Oh my God.
Dirty
Well,
Dancing sucks.
I love movies.
Yeah,
No,
it does.
Dirty
Shit,
Dancing doesn't suck.
It's overrated as hell.
Don't get me in a Love Bites rant about Dirty Dancing.
Not,
I like Dirty Dancing. Shit.
like
Sure you do.
you know, when I was doing this, I said, you know what? Who doesn't know Footloose and doesn't
Right.
sing along when these fucking songs come on? I mean, Footloose, Let's Hear for the Boys, the theme song, Almost Paradise, Holding Out for a Hero, Bonnie Tyler, come on.
Is that Lover Boy, Almost Paradise?
And then the Sammy Hagar song, The Girl Gets Around.
Mental Health should be on there, shouldn't it?
Nope.
I don't think
it's a huge
it's
part of
not
that.
on the soundtrack, but it's in the movie.
Oh, that's a shame.
Played
Boy,
it
that
both.
was a pretty instrumental part of the flick. Huh.
Mental Health. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I love that movie. I love the music at that time when the movie came out. You know, Chris and I were talking a bit about this earlier in an episode, and we were talking about, you know, it wasn't always hair metal. You know, I mean, shit. I remember going over to my cousins and hearing Bay City Rollers and fucking I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss and weird shit, you know. So it wasn't always hair metal. It wasn't until I was introduced to Motley Crue and
Were you doing each other's nails? Like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, we were talking about it over fucking Manny's. What's a yeah.
Nothing wrong with being gay. I'm serious.
Yeah. And you didn't invite me? Hell yeah.
To be
But
gay.
anyways, I'm just speaking to the time, 84. I mean, yes, I was into the hair metal by then, but goddamn, those songs were catchy, and it was a good movie, and I've probably seen the movie 3-4 times, and probably more than that even. I don't know. But anyways, that's my number 4.
Good pick.
I do love that movie. Shit.
Yeah, I did too.
Number 4.
Go on to Bergie.
This is where we were talking about this earlier, like some of the stuff that, like Footloose is a little out of our wheelhouse.
Yeah, but
And I had some stuff too that I was thinking about. Man, we're talking about like we not always listening to hair metal. You know, when I was 9, you had to listen to what your parents had on in the car, or until you got yourself a clock radio or something, you could tune in whatever you wanted. But even back then, you had to listen to the hits. You know.
yeah, because there wasn't a rock station per se in our area. It was more of a hit station.
Yeah, when I'm 10, 11, I had a Madonna poster on my wall. You know.
Man, what the
I know.
And you bought Nirvana's
I was
Nevermind.
gonna say it's
Right. Well, that Madonna poster got me through some good hard times.
Yeah.
you're almost
pun
on the
intended.
toilet trying to flush your credibility.
So I don't have the Vision Quest soundtrack here. I don't. But so what I got here is something that I know we're going to talk about later. Somebody's going to have this higher up on their list. But my number 4 is Trick or Treat, the soundtrack from the 1986 movie
Excellent movie.
Fastway. Ever heard of it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So every song on there is Fastway, and this was one of those almost when I first heard this. We were talking about this earlier too with Fastway. Is I don't have another Fastway album in my collection. I don't. I don't know if you do.
I did at one point in my life. I had a couple of their cassettes, but none of them compared to the
Yeah,
Trick or Treat soundtrack.
The first couple of songs, Trick or Treat and After Midnight, they're just bangers. Like I love those two tunes, and they fit in the movie great. There's a couple on here that I'm like, I don't remember that one at all. The Tear Down the Walls, that's almost an instrumental kind of, right?
Yep, man, just a little short thing.
But good stuff. The movie, I just watched it about a year ago. I don't know if it holds up really, but
It's pretty cheesy.
back in the day, I loved that shit. Like
Yeah.
Sam.
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it last week. I love it. Good job, man.
Yeah.
I don't remember that movie.
Oh, it's so good. That tearing down the walls, that scene rips my heart out because if you remember, he just found out that his idol Sammy died in that fire. He rips down Judas Priest, Kiss, Megadeth, Saxon, rips down all those posters and tapestries and destroys them. And it almost brings a tear to a metal lover's eye. I'll tell you the truth. That's where that song comes in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's my number 4 Trick or Treat soundtrack from 1986.
But Jeremy, wasn't it you that was it a Def Leppard cassette ended up being a
Yes.
cassette? It was okay.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, and I am a Fastway fan, so that's pretty cool. So nice.
Cool. We're on to Brian.
All right, let's get back to some real music. All right,
Fair enough.
if you don't have this on your list is invalid, and that is the soundtrack to This Is Spinal Tap. Every time people bring up their best soundtracks, this never makes the list. You want to talk about the music and in combination with how good the movie is, it is this soundtrack. I mean, if you like music, are a musician, you've watched this movie many times, multiple times. But I mean, you got songs like where am I starting here? Hellhole, Heavy Duty, Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight, Big Bottom, Rock and Roll Creation, and of course Stonehenge and that classic scene with the fucking dwarves going around Stonehenge. I mean, this movie is a classic. It is hysterical, and it's hard to separate the music from the movie.
Good pick. Good pick.
My wife is going to punch me in the arm when she hears that, Brian, because she wanted me to put that on here so badly, and I almost did because she loves it with all intensity. So good for you, buddy.
It's such a great
ballad, Jeremy.
Well, one of my favorite things with that movie is that Eddie Van Halen hated it because it was too close to reality. That's why he hated it. He was like, "No, this movie's too real. This movie sucks."
Right.
That's funny. All right, on
Tonight
we go.
I'm gonna rock you tonight. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Rock tonight.
Then we're on to Hair Metal Guru.
All right. First, I'll give you Ryan's. I'll try to do ours both at the same time. Ryan's is Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead from 1991. He said he loved the movie as a kid. Alias gets overlooked way too much. Very cool band. Flame, another underrated band with a great debut album. His absolute favorite, though, is Valentine. They had an epic debut album with shit tons of catchy rippers and great ballads. The song Keep the Faith is catchy and great, and you realize why these types of songs worked in soundtracks. With that, my number 4, what an important movie. This movie came out when I was 16. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Shit, my buddies and I watched the shit out of that and quoted lines from it constantly. Again, another movie with Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter and George Carlin, the famous comedian. But I'm assuming most of you have seen that movie, and I would bet that most of you loved it when it came out. Extreme. Do You Want to Play With Me was a huge part of that movie. I think they were in the mall and all this crazy shit was going, and that was playing. Shark Island gets another segment in this video again. They had 2 songs, Father Time and Dangerous. Shark Island is a really underrated band. Tora Tora, you guys just interviewed Anthony Corder. Tora Tora had a song called Dancing with a Gypsy on it. There's a band I've never heard of called Vital Signs, but they do a song called Boys, All the Boys and Girls Are Doing It. And if you watch the movie, you'll be like, oh shit, yeah, I remember that. And then the most interesting song on the soundtrack, the band was called Power Tool. The song is called Two Heads Are Better Than One, very prominent in the movie. Well, you might be going like I was when I first heard about it. Who the fuck is Power Tool? Well, Power Tool was Nelson, the band with the 2 twins, Gunnar and Matthew. Well, they wrote this song, and John Kolodner, the A&R rep, is like, no, I don't want you doing any kind of soundtrack. You need to wait until your album comes out. So they're like, well, fuck. Okay, we'll change the name of the band from Nelson to Power Tool. But then he's like, well, we can't have Gunnar's voice on it because the first time I want Gunner's voice heard is on Nelson's After the Rain. And so they found some other dude to sing it, and he'd been in a band called Player way back in the day. But it's an awesome song, an awesome soundtrack, an awesome movie. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is my number 4.
Very nice.
Good.
That's why he's the guru with nuggets like that.
Yep, exactly.
There you go.
There you go. Jeremy, your turn.
All right, I'm going to call an audible here. It was going to be Maximum Overdrive, but since that one's been covered with all entirety and done so well, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with this one right here, Last Action Hero. This one I just listened to today on the way back from Bismarck. Full disclosure, I forgot about it. It came into my head. I pulled it up and listened to it. Man, you gotta get started with AC/DC Big Gun. That is one hellaciously great tune by AC/DC. It's got all the elements of AC/DC, but it's almost just a hair heavier. Just a great opening track. It gets it started. You got an Alice in Chains song. I'm not a huge Alice in Chains fan, but I did like them enough. I have a couple of their albums. What the Hell Have I? Pretty grungy, pretty great tune. And then my favorite band, no question here, Megadeth with Angry Again. And I found 5 soundtracks with Megadeth tunes on them. And I'm like, I could just do a whole thing of Megadeth soundtrack albums, but I didn't. But Angry Again, killer tune there. Then you got Queensryche. I love Jeff Tate's voice doing Real World. A beautiful ballad. I thought it made the radio, but I looked, it didn't. I think it was released, but it never actually hit the radio. And then at the end of Real World, it gets real crazy. The tempo changes, it gets upbeat, it gets kind of wild, and you almost wonder where it's going to go, and then it cuts off real quick. But another great tune, Def Leppard, Two Steps Behind. Great ballad. Brian, you probably hate the shit out of it. I'm sure you do. Not that one? Okay.
Not saying anything.
Okay, you're okay with that? Okay. Then we got Anthrax doing Poison My Eyes with John Bush. I love the John Bush Anthrax. I also like the earlier stuff too with Joey, but I love this tune. It's the longest song on the album, but it just rocks. Aerosmith Dream On, No Need to Say Anymore. Another Alice in Chains tune, which is even heavier than the first one. Then you got kind of a weird little 10 minutes of kind of a rapish thing with the Cypress Hill and Fishbone, but still not terrible songs. And that was kind of my criteria. If there were songs on these albums that I felt were filler and I had to skip over a bunch, I took them off my list. I don't skip these. I don't love them, but they're still good enough to be on there. And then the best song on it is the title track, and it's by one of the bands that we covered in our roundtable, gentlemen, Tesla. Last Action Hero. And I can't believe none of us brought that up during our roundtable. One of the best kick-ass Tesla tunes of all time. And it just happens to be the title track of that soundtrack. So if you haven't heard that, at least listen to that song. You owe yourself that. And then it finishes off with Michael Kamen, and he just kind of does the movie, what do you call it, the montage. But you got Buckethead on there, and he's playing guitar on it, so it's kind of cool. Buckethead adds kind of a nice element, but Last Action Hero is going to be my number 4 because, like I said, Maximum Overdrive was done so well earlier. I thought I'd throw one in there.
I'll just add that Warrant submitted a song called Last Action Hero for that movie. The demo is out on YouTube, and it is kick-ass.
Is that right?
Yes. So, apparently they probably, commissioned a few bands. Hey, give us a Last Action Hero song. They took Tesla's, which is awesome. But damn, that Warrant one is great too. I'm like, shit, it would have been cool to have Warrant on that soundtrack. Anyway.
Is it better than the Tesla song?
I don't know. It's not, it's a demo, so.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. No, good stuff.
Okay, we're on to Stace. Hopefully we got some issues taken care of.
My number 4, I also had Last Action Hero. Going into this, I thought it was going to be like 1 or 2, but it ended up, as I found other movie soundtracks, it just ended up slipping. And the only thing I'm going to add to what Jeremy was saying, there were 3 songs that were written specifically for this movie, and that was The Big Gun from AC/DC, Real World from Queensryche, and of course Last Action Hero from Tesla. Two Steps Behind and Angry Again weren't necessarily written for the movie, but like for Angry Again, it was first released here before they released it on. Yeah.
We'll move on to Jay for his number 4.
My number 4 is Top Gun. Um,
I thought
wasn't always a metal guy myself. Hair metal, heavy metal, doesn't matter. Kenny Loggins is one of my favorite artists. And quite frankly, the song Take My Breath Away by Berlin is fucking awesome. I mean, it's just a great song. Um, Through the Fire by Larry Green is a great song. And Cheap Trick. I mean, I think almost everybody likes Cheap Trick in some capacity. Mighty Wings is fucking cool. I mean, there's some stuff on there. Obviously, I don't care for. Miami Sound Machine comes to mind, but overall, awesome soundtrack. A lot of good tunes.
Yep. That was
Killer movie too.
yep, killer movie, and yeah, I had given that one some thought as well.
Yeah, so far we got Top Gun, Footloose. It's good to talk music here on The View, guys. Thanks for having me on.
What say you, Joy?
Oh.
Joy Behar? Donald Trump's a racist.
Well, my number 3 is also Last Action Hero. If I had another choice, it'd be The Wrestler. But I don't have any notes or anything or whatever because that's got some awesome shit on it too. But since Last Action Hero is just really good, and yeah, I can't really add much to anything that other people have said, so I'll just leave it as that and move on to Chris's number.
Yeah, Jeremy really covered that very well, that album, and that's going to show up in my list too. But not right here.
Thanks for ruining it for everybody, Jeremy.
Spoiler alert.
Good job.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Right here is where.
Well, it's just, like you said, that Big Gun song is just kick ass, and the Tesla song is kick ass, and But, anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So my number 3, I'm going to mention 2 albums real quick. One we've already talked about. But they're both AC/DC soundtracks, so it's kind of a tie here for me. Maximum Overdrive and Iron Man 2. The songs on Iron Man 2 it's like the greatest hits, AC/DC greatest hits. Shoot the Thrill, Rock and Roll Down. It goes down the line, Back in Black, Thunderstruck, If You Want Blood, You've Got It. So,
good one.
It's basically an AC/DC greatest hits CD.
Yeah.
And in Maximum Overdrive, that movie really sucked. Like, it was bad.
Yep.
And I really loved Stephen King type movies back in the day, but that movie was shit. I can remember, I think we going to a guy's birthday party or whatever. This must have came on, 86?
86.
Yeah, 86.
So teenagers renting movies and hanging out with your girlfriend or whatever and popping movies in. We had this one in the VCR that night, and not a lot of the movie's not good. Anyway, I'll just leave it.
Wait, come on! I had the Green Goblin on a truck,
and it wasn't Emilio Estevez.
Yep.
Young Guns was the star. Yeah, that movie was shit.
It was.
That
But Who Made Who, like Chad mentioned right away, I think that was the only new song on the album.
That was.
Yeah. And
that is one of the greatest AC/DC songs. It's one of my favorite AC/DC songs.
I agree.
love that song.
I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and I was like, "Oh man, this is good. Why haven't I heard this in a long time?"
Yeah. And is that the only album that it appears on? Right.
I believe so. That I know of.
Unless there's some great stuff or whatever.
Yep.
But so we talked about that already. I'll move on.
Hey, Brian.
Well, fuckface already ruined this for me. Number 3 is my Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Like, you literally said the same exact stuff I got here.
Hey, you ruined Peacemaker for me, so fuck you.
Oh, it's on, bro. All right, so I had loved the movie as a teenager. Me and my friend used to watch it over and over and quote it all the time. There's a lot of lesser known bands on this album. Father Time by Shark Island, easily my favorite song off that album. It's such a great song. Dangerous is a good one too. Obviously, you said Do You Want to Play by Extreme. It's a great tune. Dancing with the Gypsy by Tora Tora. Like, all these bands released their debuts the same year this movie came out. And I had the two heads is better than one and Power Tool as Nelson. Yeah, it's such a great soundtrack. I think the rest of these movies I actually like, but yeah, as a teenager, me and my friend watched this thing over and over. I could probably still quote a buttload of lines from this
Oh
movie,
yeah,
and it's at my number three. Great movie, great soundtrack.
Wonderful.
absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Guru or
Okay,
I'm
Ryan.
gonna pick another one of mine.
Ryan. I'll give you Ryan's. Ryan's. Well, speaking of Bill and Ted, he has Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
And geez, Shark Island again.
Damn.
And or unless it no, that's on Excellent Adventure.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he combined Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. I'll point out he said Winger's Battle Stations from Bogus Journey. And Battle Station has an insane pre-chorus, very true to the era, Winger music vocals. And he just mainly talked about that and Shark Island. So Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, he combined. My number three has already been talked about, but I have something to add to it because the movie Dazed and Confused is one of my favorite movies of all time. In college, so this movie came out in 93, and I entered college in 91. I was living in an partial house, partial apartment with two other guys. And there was a group of us that partied together all the time. We watched this movie so much. And you would be like, everybody, oh, you are this guy, you're this character from Dazed and Confused. We quoted it. I could still watch this movie anytime it comes on. And I mean, Jeremy, you had this one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kiss Rock and Roll All Night. Foghat, Slow Ride. If you remember the beginning of the movie, it shows this hot fucking 70s car, and you hear the bass line to Aerosmith's Sweet Emotion. I imagine Brian getting a big chub whenever that comes on.
I wish.
Okay, a little chub when that comes on.
I knew that was coming.
More of a stump, but go on.
You didn't mention Nazareth's Love Hurts was in there. At the end scene when the party's ending and they're playing Tuesday's Gone from Leonard Skinner, and everybody can relate to a day like this. Everybody can relate to that party. You got the cool kids, you got the jocks, you got the nerds, you got the fight that breaks out. I mean, I probably went to that exact party like 50 times over high school and college. I still love that movie, and so the soundtrack is amazing. Comes in at number three.
You also got the weird, creepy dude that's 33 years old hitting on 14-year-olds.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I like about high school. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
My brother Shannon is that character, folks. My brother Shannon is that character. Not anymore. He's married with kids now, but trust me, he was Party Man 5000.
Right.
All right. We are moving on to Jeremy. Good pick.
Yeah, that was great. Well put, Guru. I love that what you added there. Yeah, moving on to number three. This one's been talked about a lot. I don't have a lot to add to it, so I'll just get to it. It is Shocker. And somebody already mentioned everything about the Dangerous Toys tune, probably one of the greatest choruses. I just love that. The Sword and Stone song, I just want to add a fun fact. That song, if you like that song, it's also done by, I can't remember, Dean something or other, and it's also been recently remade by a band called Crazy Licks. And they're a band currently going from overseas that has some killer hair metal guys. If you haven't checked out Crazy
Licks is awesome.
They are freaking amazing. I just got their latest album, and they redid this one, Brian.
Yep.
Sword and Stone is on there. True to form, I think I know of 4 different versions, everyone good. So if you like the song, check out Crazy Licks. Little plug to those gentlemen. And then also another Megadeth. It's the Megadeth factor. I swear to God, every soundtrack they're on, I like. And I don't know if it's because of Megadeth or if it's just coincidence. But I thought that the guitar solo on No More Mr. Nice Guy, in the way they beefed that up, just kicks ass. However, when they made the video, Dave was so trashed, they barely got through it. They had to prop him up. And when he's doing that little scene, and you'll notice none of the band members are in it because they were so ashamed of him that they decided they didn't even want to be a part of it. But Yeah, he was a mess. He doesn't even remember doing that guitar solo
Mhm.
scene. But anyway, I digress. But just a great album. I actually like this movie. It's got its cheesy moments, but I dig it. I like the theme of it. The music keeps it going. The Kane Roberts cameo is great. Um, and then the dude's wrath. You know, you got Tommy Lee. He didn't use his real name. He used the name Tommy Bass or Bass for crediting purposes. I have no idea. Desmond Child does a lot of stuff on there. Guy Schiffman. I mean, god dang, you guys just chocked full of great stuff and gang vocals, which I love. Just a phenomenal soundtrack, top to bottom. So that comes in right there. One more fun fact I was going to bring in on Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. That album was supposed to be called Bill and Ted Go to
What
Hell.
the hell, yeah.
Megadeth was supposed to have that name and that song be their kind of in. Well, Metallica beat them to the punch and released Enter Sandman, Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which is the same thing Megadeth did. Literally beat them by a month, and they changed the name of the movie because of that.
Wow.
So
Mustaine
Megadeth kind
was
of got
pissed.
Oh,
Dave
Dave
Mustaine
Mustaine.
was pissed when they did that because that was supposed to be
That
the
was going to be
title
their,
track.
yeah,
And he
dude,
was
their
like,
big
what
moment.
the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. Every time Mustaine had something going, frickin' Metallica beat him to the punch. But anyway, sorry, that was my Megadeth plug again.
I was gonna say that the Dean that you mentioned, that song Sword and
Yes.
Stone, I love that song. It's Paul Dean, who is the
Thank you.
guitar player from Loverboy, and Kiss actually recorded a version of that I think they were considering for the Crazy Nights album. It didn't make it, but the demo of them doing it with Paul on vocals is out on YouTube, and I think it would have been a solid move to put that on that album because that's a great song.
Fantastic. Thank you for looking that up.
Yep. I didn't look it up. It's just here.
Oh, right. Well, good. Okay, good enough. Thank you for knowing that. Then.
He's let him have his moment. He's finally useful.
Look,
Yeah.
hey, I'm only good at two things, all right? And hair metal is the other one.
Yeah. There you go.
The other one is loneliness.
Shut up. Anything?
All right, we're on to Stace.
Poor Stace has to hear this shit. Us just cutting out each other for 2 hours. He's like, what am I?
It's his show. It's his show, and the poor guy has to suffer through it.
Yes, I mean,
Isn't it ironic? Again,
Came up with it and then wrecked it. Hey, this is my phone audio. Is this better? My number 3 was Judgment Night. It's like a bunch of collaborations between rock and hip hop groups, you know, and it's of course not for everyone, but like even the grunge songs, guys, the lyrics aren't grungy, so maybe you could like it. I don't know. But to me, like, this is one of those ones that if I went back to my, you know, vehicle back in the 90s and just found the CD player that was in that vehicle, it probably would just play this soundtrack, you know, without even having a CD in it. I just played it so much. So to me, this was, you know, just a rocking, awesome soundtrack.
Space, can you give us one song and collaboration title? Maybe we've heard one.
Yeah. So Another Body Murdered is a collaboration between Faith No More and Booyah Tribe.
Okay.
And it really has that Faith No More feel to it. Like it's, you know, but then it's, you know, hip hop or R&B guys singing. So, but, you know, Faith No More, they throw some stuff in there as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could look up the tracks.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yep. I kind of remember that back in the day too. I just don't. I can't pull it up in my.
Yeah, I remember. I can for
I
some
can-
reason
I
see
can
the
see-
movie poster in my head,
Yep.
but
Helmet,
I can't hear any songs off
Helmet
it.
is one of the bands on there. Just Another Victim, Living Color, Me, Myself, and My Microphone, Biohazard, Slayer, Therapy, of course, you know, they had to throw Pearl Jam and some of that stuff on there. But yeah, to me,
Nothing wrong with that.
great song.
All right, and we are on to Jay for his number 3.
Well, it's been picked a couple times already. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I got nothing to say about that hasn't already been said. Sans one thing. Game of War by Warrant should have made the soundtrack.
That's a great tune.
Never heard it.
Oh yeah.
If you want to hear a better version of it, look up a band called Shake City. They do a cover on it, and it's awesome. I like it better than the Warren version. Sorry, Guru, but it's a really good cover.
I think the Warrant one isn't really. It's more demo.
Yeah, yeah.
It would have been better if they had gone through all the. Anyway, sorry.
But no, see, when this was said a couple times, I thought, gee, maybe I would just switch it with Bogus Journey because that was also on the list. It just didn't make it. And then Ryan fucked that up. And I don't have anything else prepared. Moving on.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna say with the Game of War song, Janie had a great line where it said, "I hate you, you hate me. I guess it ends in a tie." Fucking genius lyrics right there. That's fucking great.
He was awesome. That's all I can say. Okay, on to me with my number 2. Number 2 for me is Purple Rain.
Ah.
Nice.
Prince. I love
I
fucking
respect
Prince.
that. Prince is awesome.
Came out in 1984, grossed $70 million. I think Prince wrote the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, Let's Go Crazy, Take Me With You, Darling Nikki, When Doves Cry, I Would Die For You, Purple Rain is probably my favorite. Oh my God, I love that song. And Darling Nikki, if you haven't heard it, check out a band called Shaman's Harvest. They did a cover of that song, and it's fucking excellent. But yeah, I mean, the movie was actually good. I enjoyed it. I've seen it a few times. Kind of sad. Kind of a, you know.
Yeah, it was one of them things that I this is the one that I kicked myself that I didn't pick, but the movie was good back then, but it
Doesn't hold up
no,
probably. I haven't
it's
watched
not.
it in years.
It's the movie. It's all about the music, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember liking the movie back in the day.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't watched it in 35 years. So, but I have listened to the music and I fucking love the music. There's only like 3 songs on there that I don't really care for. And the rest are all really, really good. So that is my number 2.
Yeah, amazing.
I just framed this. It's the vinyl cover of the Let's Go Crazy single. And we're in North Dakota,
So
me and
80s.
Jeremy and the Bert and the Rock Resurgence guys, and Minneapolis is where Prince is from, which is like 3 hours away from me. So Prince around here is like fucking,
God.
a mythical figure. Everybody loves Prince.
He was just so fucking talented.
He was, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a musical genius,
Yeah.
wherever that movie came from or wherever that came. Musical genius.
Don't you never let me see you do that shit again. I'll fuck you up. See the one that's a musical genius.
He
Yeah,
did.
Sheila E on drums, guys, just kept that rhythm section pumping.
I mean, he could play any instrument, and
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. I don't remember who this was or who they were interviewing, but they were asking some guitarist what it was like to be one of the best guitarists, and he goes, "Ask Prince."
Nice.
Never heard of that.
And and if you've ever watched him play, he is freaking amazing. If you watch some of his live stuff on YouTube, it's really, really good.
You can watch him playing guitar on When My Guitar Slowly Weeps for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he kills it on the guitar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is unreal. He never really gets credit for his guitar playing, which is
Oh, he
just
doesn't.
fascinating to me. But yeah, the guy was unbelievably talented. But I can't hear the song Purple Rain without the image of him playing the song in the rain during the Super Bowl halftime show.
I know, right?
That was iconic. It was unbelievable to watch that.
It was unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't have scripted that better.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, phenomenal. So, anyways, that's my number 2.
Yeah, good pick. Dude was amazing, and I mean, a lot of his albums, he played every instrument. Recorded them in his own little studio, and there you
Paisley
go.
Park.
Yeah. So
Yep.
if you've ever been to check it out.
He's kind of one of those artists that, if you know, they always asked if you could bring one artist back to so you could see him live, because I never got a chance to see him live. That would be one of my for sure picks to bring him back. I'd love to just see him in the First Avenue Club that he basically created on one of his shows, that he just kind of would show up randomly, from what I understand, and play a show. I would love to be there, and I'd love it to be actually an acoustic show. I would love it. That would be one of my picks to all-time picks.
So my 2 is already been talked about ad nauseum. Last Action Hero. This is where I have Last Action Hero. 93, I think, roughly came out. Hard rock. You guys all talked about Big Gun. I mean, that's a fantastic AC/DC song. The movie wasn't that great. Like, it actually kind of stunk. I didn't know I had another Megadeth fan as big as Jeremy in here.
Yeah.
I'm a big Megadeth guy too. We don't ever talk about it on our show much, but matter of fact, I kind of prefer them over Metallica in a lot of ways.
Yep, I do too.
I definitely do. Yep.
Mhm.
Not even a doubt.
I'm with you guys.
Nice,
Shout out to
guys.
all you guys.
They're in that same kind of genre. Yeah, I did notice the theme of the
Go ahead and listen to St. Anger some more.
Megadeth
Right.
on all your picks, Jeremy. It's great.
And thank you.
Even Metallica doesn't listen to Saint Anger. Okay.
Stinks.
But I tell you what, if it was recorded like a normal fucking album, it probably was pretty good, because there's some pretty heavy shit on there.
But it wasn't. Move on.
No, I agree. It's a turd.
Good call on shouting
Actually, today I had someone saying how they wanted to do One by Metallica, and I'm like, yeah, I learned that if I can hear the bass on the goddamn album. I don't know what Lars does with lowers the knobs on the bass for some fucking reason. I don't.
That was a hazing on that album. That was done deliberate, Brian.
He did, but he did it to Cliff Burton too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you listen to versions of like Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning with the bass boosted. You're like, holy shit! You have the most talented guy in the band, and you're lowering the volume on him.
Yeah.
And raising the volume on the drums, of course, because that's what Lars was like.
Yeah, that the Injustice for All, the guitars and the drums were fucking. It was a pissing contest between James and Lars. You know, and they just kept raising them, and then next thing you know, you can't fucking hear the bass.
Yep.
And great album, but again, recorded not very well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then the whole Napster thing happened, and it was like,
oh, that too.
Guys, you're turning on your fandoms, you know?
Yeah.
I know. I mean, you can
I guess I kind of
get it from their point, but it was happening to every artist. So why do you got to take on the world? It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to change anything. There's going to be Napster goes down, LimeWire comes up, LimeWire goes down, something else comes up. You're not going to fucking stop it. So just embrace that people are fucking downloading your music and be happy about it and just move on. You already got a zillion in the fucking bank.
But I think one of the biggest issues people had with him complaining about it was that in their early days, that's how Metallica became big. People taping their albums and exchanging cassettes with each other. It was this underground thing that made them big. And all of a sudden he was like, don't do that with my music. Oh, excuse me, millionaire. Now we can't do this. It was just people just didn't want to hear it from him.
It happened because of that stupid goddamn song "I Disappear" that they had coming out on the Mission Impossible album. It got leaked out there somehow.
Yeah,
that's where it all began. And
it
was
probably
do a goddamn song that they're getting at a set about it. Yeah. So, anyways,
we could probably.
Anyway, I was going to say that
we could probably do an entire video on Napster, and I hear what you guys are saying, and it did make Metallica look like shit to go after Napster. But what the part of me that is like, somebody needed to do something, and it didn't work, because look at how we don't have record stores anymore and nobody sells any records anymore, is because everybody decided, hey, you know what? I'd rather have it for free. So, and I'm not, shit.
I think that's only part of it. I think that's only a part of it because you can still buy albums through Apple Music. You can still do it.
But
I
you
think
could get it for free if you
now,
wanted.
but with streaming now, like who's really buying albums? Like people don't buy them like they used to.
No, I know.
Bands don't even release albums anymore.
But
They
I'm
release
just
singles.
talking about when Napster came out, and I was in college, back in college when it came out, and everybody was like, "Why would I ever buy a CD when I can just?" This is before Apple Music, before Spotify. We got laptops at our college, and everybody was like, "Well, fuck, I'm gonna download this Napster. I got 10,000 songs." So anyway, it just
I think that's one of the reasons.
I mean, there's many other
yeah
aspects of it. But
If you downloaded 10,000 songs on Napster, you'd still be waiting for them to download back.
Yeah, that's true too.
But let's rein this in back to soundtrack we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
We got off on a Metallica, Megadeth tangent, whatever. Anyway,
I don't even remember.
We were on number 2, and I picked Last Action Hero. Kind of been talked about, so we're on
to Brian's.
Number 2. Brian's number 2.
Mine came up a few times briefly. The movie sucked, but the soundtrack is good. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. God, what a crap movie that was, especially after the first one. They had aliens and they were built robots and they fight other robots. Fuck you, ain't watching that shit. It was stupid. And death, oh God, it was so bad.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack was really good, and they actually got bigger names for the soundtrack than the first one. So you have some songs you didn't mention. Shout It Out by Slaughter is really good. Battle Station, excellent song that you can't get on Apple Music for some reason. Great song by Winger. Go to Hell by Megadeth, like you said, fantastic song. I Saw My Funeral. I Know Who Didn't Show to Mourn. What a great line. One you guys didn't mention, Tommy the Cat by Primus. One of my favorite songs by them. Such a great band. Junior's Gone Wild by King's X, a band for some reason never made it big. That's one of my favorite songs by them. And God Gave Rock and Roll to You too from Kiss. Great tune. I mean, I think with this one, they realized how many people that were into this type of music bought the soundtrack, like the movie, the whole Bill and Ted concept of these two metalheads. And they said, fuck it, let's get the biggest names in the genre and put them on the second soundtrack album. And they put out some killer music.
It's almost like they put all the money into the soundtrack and
none in the movie.
Forgot about making the movie good.
None in the movie. Oh, they're playing Twister with Death. What am I wasting my time with this shit? Stupid movie.
Yeah.
All right. Hair Metal Guru / Ryan.
Okay, Ryan's his Last Action Hero, and he said, and it's true, probably one we'll all have on our lists. And I left it off mine because I figured everybody was going to. So he said, I love Big Gun, fantastic AC/DC classic. Queensryche, Def Leppard has a phenomenal ballad with Two Steps Behind, and you got to hand it to Tesla for a great title track. My number 2, I'm actually shocked that I'm the first one to have this on there, and I think Bergie mentioned it earlier, but it's Vision Quest from 1985. I fucking love it. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you haven't, has anybody not seen it?
What was it about again? I don't fucking remember.
It's a wrestling movie.
Yes, okay.
A high school wrestler who is cutting weight to wrestle the best guy in the state, and this older chick who's like 19 or 20 turns up in town and needs some help, and this kid has a huge crush on her, and so it's about his wrestling season and this girl that he falls for. But it is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen, and it's free on YouTube right now, so go ahead and watch it. You will not regret it. But on the soundtrack, Journey's Only the Young, and that was the first sighting of it. Never got put out. That's like one of my favorite Journey songs of all time. Wasn't on a regular album, was on that soundtrack. Sammy Hagar's I'll Fall in Love Again, one of my top 2 or 3 favorite Sammy songs. And most people know this song, Red Rider, Lunatic Fringe. If you don't know that, oh, fuck, that song rules. Foreigners, Hot Blooded, John Waite, Change, and then not on the soundtrack, but in the movie, Dio's Hungry for Heaven, Actually, John Kalodner, if you know him, the A&R guy with the big long beard, was in charge of the movie for this soundtrack. One of my favorite movies and my second favorite soundtrack. I'll get the favorite one when we get to our number ones.
Nice.
Good pick. I know Bergie struggled with that one.
Very nice pick. Yeah, I kind of wanted to. There's some, like you mentioned. We before we shot this episode, we shot another episode earlier, but we were just listening to that song, Lunatic Fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Sammy song on there. It's on his album Standing Hampton too. And that's one of my favorite Sammy. That is my favorite Sammy Hagar album for sure. So good pick, Jeremy. You're number 2, right? That's what we're on. Okay.
Okay. Really excited that no one picked this, but I hope if you haven't heard this one, you guys check this out. I promise you, every single person on this panel will love it. I guarantee it. The movie is the worst. Please don't even spend 5 minutes. It's not worth even looking up. But the soundtrack is honestly could be my number 1. It's got some of the best tunes, and it's truly a soundtrack with a bunch of different bands, and I'll get into them in a moment. But nobody even mentioned this. I hope you guys know it. If you don't, check it out. Black Roses. Black Roses is a shit movie. Shouldn't have even been made. It kind of seems like it was just a contrived thing, maybe after the fact of Trick or Treat. But the soundtrack is undeniably unbelievable. You've got Black Roses with Mark Free on vocals, and Black Roses was kind of a super group like the Dudes of Wrath was for Shocker. You got Mark Free, you got Carmen Appice on drums, and they do 3 songs on there, which are fantastic. 4 songs, actually. And Rock Invasion, Dance on Fire, Soldiers of the Night, and Paradise, which is a semi-ballad. So 4 kind of a super group type Black Roses tunes. Then you got Lizzie Borden with one of my favorite songs from him, Me Against the World.
That's a good
Love
one.
that tune. Yeah, love that. You got King Cobra, which again features Carmen Appice in his
Well,
band.
hey, what's his brother's name? I can't think of it.
Carmen. Vinny. There you
Vinny.
go.
I know one goes by a piece, the other one goes by apathy.
I know. I don't know
goes
which
by
one is-
apathy. Carmine goes by a piece.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, there you go. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so I got Carmen right then. Good. So yeah, you got King Cobra, which most of you have probably heard of. Then you got a dude named David Michael Phillips, and he looks just like Vince Neil, doing a song called King of Cool. It is the epitome of 80s rock, guys. This guy is straight up a stud, and he sings about it in this tune. It's awesome. You've got Bang Tango, which, by the way, Brian, thank you for recommending their movie. I loved that documentary. I just watched
Awesome.
that. Great.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was really good, yes. And they do I'm No Stranger on there, which is a Bang Tango tune. Then you have 2 kind of lesser known bands. One is Tempest, and they're doing a tune called Street Life Warrior. It's got some heavy grooves, but the voice is very 80ish. So you got heavy, almost Megadeth-like, but with this really kind of melodic voice behind it, doing Street Life Warrior, and then Hallows Eve, D.I.E., straight up sounds like a Metallica / Megadeth tune. But again, great vocals, great drumming, great bass. There's not 1 second of this soundtrack that is not worth your time. Movie isn't worth even saying, isn't even worth looking up. But Black Rose's soundtrack, how many of you have heard it?
What year did this come out?
This was 80. God dang, this fine print on here.
What's the movie called?
Black Roses.
Oh, okay.
It is 80. It's got to be 85-ish. Why can't
85 with Bang
No.
Tango? Really?
Not with Bang Tango on it.
Well, okay, it's a Metal Blade record. I'm looking at it. I honest to God can't read what it says for the year here, guys.
Get your old man. Get your glasses. Your reading glasses, old man.
I think it says 88, guys. It is. It's
88. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, it's Enigma Metal Blade Records. You can find it. It's on YouTube. It's not on Spotify. I couldn't find it on there anyway. But it's on YouTube. You can check it out. God, please, guys, give yourselves
I'll check it out.
42 minutes tonight, and you'll be happy you did. That's my number 2, Black Roses.
Awesome.
We're back to you, Stace.
All right. Yeah, my number 2 has been covered endlessly, Dazed and Confused.
Mm.
And like the Guru, I mean,
No one
we
likes the
wore
Guru.
this movie. We wore this movie. I mean, watching it, quoting it, everything. I mean, all the songs take you back to the seats. just like you said. So I won't beat a dead horse. Great soundtrack.
Cool. And we're on to Jay.
All right, assholes. You all mentioned Last Action Hero, so fuck you. Because of that, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm switching my pick.
Attaboy.
Respect that.
I'm taking Strangeland, and for the simple reason of it was an unreleased Twisted Sister on it. Heroes are hard to find. Dee Snider had some solo stuff on there. Seven Dust, Megadeth, Jeremy, Pantera, Anthrax, Marilyn Manson, Nashville Pussy. You mentioned them earlier, Brian.
Nice.
They are a great band. Granted, I'm the man. Decent. I'm a big fan of Hate and Whiskey myself, but badass band nonetheless. That's my pinch hit for number 2.
Well done. Good movie too. I liked it.
Yeah, awesome movie.
Ryder did a great job in it. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Nashville Pussy, you got to respect the band that has a song titled "I'm Gonna Hitchhike to Cincinnati to Kick the Shit Out of Your Drunk Daddy." Great title.
That's a good band. I like
Yeah.
that.
It is.
All right. On to number 1.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Just got excited.
I'm just bracing for one of you to have my number 1. I mean, I can see it coming now.
Oh, my number 1's already been talked about a bit, so I'm just going to go ahead with Trick or Treat soundtrack from 1986. It's kind of one of these things. It's me and my best friend went to this movie, and we walked out and went, "That was fucking awesome."
Yep.
And I don't remember when we got the soundtrack, but it was shortly thereafter we had made a trip to mine it or something and picked it up. And man, is that thing good. There's really no bad songs on it. The first 3 are probably the standouts, the Trick or Treat, After Midnight, and Don't Stop the Fight. I also really like Heft, which is their longest song on there. It starts off kind of slow and it's just, and
Got
I
some
don't
heft to it.
Yeah, it's got some heft to it. It's really good. And then the last song is kind of a ballad. If You Could See. And I really, really dig that song too. So all in all, the only song that I really don't, it's just Tear Down the Walls. It's just, it has a good part in the movie, but it's just not really a song. But everything else I like. It's just those 5 that I mentioned that were probably the standouts to me. And long live Sammy Kerr.
Yeah, good pick.
Right on.
My number 1, right?
Yep.
My number 1 is The Wrestler from 2008. The soundtrack just has everything that's in my wheelhouse. I mean, there's a couple. I mean, Bruce Springsteen isn't, I'm not a big Bruce fan. And then there's another song from, is it Ryland Allison? Is that how you say that?
I don't know.
Soundtrack to a War.
How about we talk about the ones that are
Yeah, anyway, got Bang Your Head, Mental Health on there, Quiet Riot, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, Cinderella, Firehouses, Don't Walk Away, Ozzy, Miracle Man, 2 songs by Rat on there, Round and Round, highly underrated, I'm Insane. We did the Rat Roundtable and talked about that. Slaughter's on there, Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine, the Scorpions.
Balls to the Wall.
Yeah, Balls to the Wall.
Dang.
It's loaded up with those songs from the 80s that, I like.
Good stuff.
I have to say that the placement, I don't know if I don't want to spoil the movie, but in the movie where Sweet Child of Mine is, it was done so well where I was like, oh shit, I forgot how good that song is. And it fit the scene perfectly.
Yeah, that's the other thing is this movie is really good too.
It is.
Check that out. Yeah.
You get to see Marissa Tomei's boobs.
Enough said.
Bonus.
Not a bonus.
Way to bring it down the guru level. Thanks.
Yeah, down to my level. Okay. And besides being a good movie, it was kind of low budget.
Yes.
So they couldn't afford all those songs. So they re-recorded them. So you'll notice, you'll be listening to it and you'll be like, it sounds a little different.
Yeah.
Well, they did a new version so they could, the band could own the rights to it and sell it for a lot cheaper than the actual version. So anyway.
No shit. That is why you are the guru.
Yep.
That's why.
Yep. All right,
Thank
Brian.
you, Brian.
You're number one.
I didn't say anything, Dick. All right, my number one. It's a great movie, awesome soundtrack. It's Titanic, and no, it's Last Action Hero. It's a great fucking soundtrack. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you guys already said it, so I'm not going to say it. No, fuck you. I'm going through everything I was going to say, regardless of who said or what before. I don't care. AC/DC, Big Guns is a great song. Angry Again, one of my favorite Megadeth tunes. That's such a good tune. The Real World, you mentioned it, Jeremy. It's not your typical Queensryche song. It's something completely different for them to do, and they do it really well. And like you said, at the end, and all of a sudden, it kind of has like the drum going and stuff that's not on par with the rest of the song. Really good. I like Two Steps Behind. I will say that. I think it's a very good song. Not shitty like the fuck was it called?
Love Bites.
Love Bites. That sack of shit. Poison My Eye, probably my favorite song off the album. It is a great Anthrax tune. I like that version of Anthrax. I can't remember if this came out before or after The Sound of White Noise, though.
After, I believe.
It was after. I love that album. One of my favorite Anthrax albums.
Yep.
That song is great. And the Tesla song, Last Action Hero, if you want a theme song for an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie, that is the song you go with. Absolutely. It is an unbelievable tune. They probably just said, hey, Tesla, make an action song. And they were like, hold my beer. Yeah. Unbelievable song. Unbelievable song. I also said Aerosmith, Alice in Chains had 2 songs, Cypress Hill. And it's kind of different because you have all these types of bands on this soundtrack, and you weren't like, oh, fuck this music. Oh, I don't like these guys. It was all just accepted by people who got this soundtrack.
It was.
I like Alice in Chains. I'll sit there and say it. I also like Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots. There were some good quote-unquote grunge bands, and this album was just a mix of all this stuff together, and it's just an awesome, awesome soundtrack. And I will say, I like the movie too. I don't care what other people think. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You can't go wrong with that.
Hey, and
that's my number one.
Awesome.
Was the song that actually inspired me to text Chad about doing the sound. So,
is that right? Which one, Stace?
2 Steps Behind.
Excellent. Excellent.
Came on and I was like, what album is that from? And so I looked it up and it was Last Action Hero. And I'm like, that's it.
Well, this was a great idea, Stace. This was a really fun and do so.
So
that was like the last time you could see like Def Leppard, AC/DC, and grunge bands all together.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, boom. After that, it was like, okay, no, you can't intertwine that shit anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a last hurrah of the genre before music went to shit.
Yep.
Good point. Good point.
We're on to Guru
Guru
first.
and Ryan.
All right. All right. I'll give Ryan's first. And here's a movie that I don't remember ever seeing, and nobody has had this in the list before. It's the Transformers soundtrack from 1986.
I almost had that on my list.
And here's what Ryan says. NRG, which is actually, I went and looked as the name, so I have never heard of that group or whoever. And Lion, as well as Stan Bush and Spectre General. Yeah. Kick Axe was renamed Spectre General for the soundtrack, since it may have been perceived as a bit harsh of a band name for a child's movie.
Yeah.
Spectre General also recorded the song Hunger, later recorded by King Cobra. Great songs on this classic.
But I like the fact that that name was too harsh, and they killed Optimus Prime in a brutal way, and kids were crying in the theater over it. It's like, yeah, fuck it. The content of the movie is going to be brutal, but we can't have Kick Axe as one of the band names. Makes no sense.
Totally relatable here, guys. I just saw Transformers 1 in the theater today. So yes, I went to a cartoon in the freaking theater with my wife today, and
I respect that.
it was hilarious. It really does explain where Transformers come from if you guys are into the Hasbro thing. Sorry.
It's a great movie. I love that.
It's really good, Brian.
movie. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, that's real cool, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so go pet your dog.
Good job. Maybe later you'll beat off into a sock or something.
Well,
Okay.
let me just stop. Whatever. But yeah, Ryan Bragg, I got the best list of them all. I don't think so, Ryan.
Yeah.
Like he's not here to defend himself. Ha ha.
All right. Enough about you. Let's talk about me.
Please do.
My number one, and I'm gonna give an honorable mention because this is not the soundtrack. My favorite music movie of all time is Eddie and the Cruisers. And if you remember the song On the Dark Side was specifically written for that movie. And that's an amazing song. And so it is a very good soundtrack, but it's not stuff that, outside of that one song, which was kind of a hit, but that's a great movie. I love it's got the whole Jim Morrison thing. Is he dead? Is he alive? If you haven't seen that, I think it's from 83 or 84. Go watch Eddie and the Cruisers. My number one soundtrack is, Brian had it before, is Peacemaker. Somebody was telling me, you got to watch this show. They talk about hair metal all the time. And so fucking Ryan actually gave me his password to get onto whatever app I needed to watch it. And I binge watched that thing. Not only is the soundtrack all hair metal, they talk about hair metal all the time.
Yep.
Like, hair metal is the greatest musical genre of all time. They named their group of crime fighters after the Hanoi Rock song 11th Street Kids.
Yes.
See John Cena at various times. He wears a Faster Pussycat shirt. He wears a Pretty Boy Floyd shirt. And it's hilarious. There's a time where he's listening to shit. Was it Choir Boys? I Don't Love You Anymore. But he's like, or it was Faster Pussycat's House of Pain, and he's just crying. And it's hilarious because it's a comedy. But
it was House of Pain. It was House of Pain.
Yeah. And you said it like he'll be walking through and it'll be like seeing vinyl records and he's picking them up and he's looking through them. So the creator of the show is a guy named James Gunn. And so I was reading about him and he just loves hair metal. And he's like, I've always wanted to do a project where somebody in the project loved hair metal and talked about it all the time. And it just so happened to be Peacemaker.
Nice.
So it is hilarious. And you covered all the songs. So there's nothing but Hardline and Vane Bite the Bullet are both in their Tiger Tail.
And when it takes place, they finished the mission they succeeded at, and they're cranking out "Beat the Bullet" by Vane. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to join this team. I want to join.
Yes,
you just chainsaw a gorilla.
so you're not just there are some big hits too. You hear Y&T's "Summertime Girls," but damn it, you're getting these obscure hair metal bands. And so if you haven't seen that show, go watch it however you can, and the music is amazing.
I also forgot to mention Wigwam has the opening track for it's just
Do You Want to Taste It? It's called.
Great tune.
The theme song. So.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out Wigwam, guys, they're a really good hair metal band too. They kind of try to bring it back.
Cool. Good pick. We are on to Jeremy.
All right. Same thing we've all been saying, but I'm going to go with Brian. I'm going to add a little bit more here because I do feel so passionate about my number one, Trick or Treat. That movie, I don't know. That one just changed my life when I saw that. First of all, you got Skippy from Family Ties, right? And I was a huge Family Ties guy. And I'm like, this is Skippy, Ragman, and being all sorts of freaking freaky and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then, God, the first time I heard, that was the first time I ever heard Dave King's voice. And I'm like, what is this? I, for at least 4 years, thought that Sammy Kerr was Dave King. Like, I expected that voice to come out of him, not some redheaded, freckled-faced dude that's in Kathmandu later and flogging mollies and all that. But that dude's voice is transcendent, and it carries that Fastway album. all the way. Every song on it just fits. And then I come to find out later that Sammy Kerr, the actor who played him, he just died recently, guys, sadly. I think it was of AIDS. He was a gay dancer. And then once you rewatch the movie, you could see the dancing. He dances a lot when he's on stage performing Trick or Treat at Rydell High School doing his thing. And I'm like, well, there's the dancing thing. Not saying that dancers are gay, because Kip Winger, he could do an arpeggio with the best of them, but or whatever it's called. But so he just recently died. But that was the album and the movie and the soundtrack that turned me on to Fastway. I do think Trick or Treat is the best Fastway album, but I have almost every one except for the later ones they did. But I stopped in like '99 with On Target and Bad Bad Girls. I stopped after that. They put out, I think, 2 more. But yeah, just a great movie. I watch it every Halloween. I have a theater in my basement, guys, and if I could have one wish right now, it would be for everyone on this panel to be in the movie theater right now, cranking that freaking sound or the movie with those tunes going, watching that with you guys, laughing our asses off, because we would be. It'd be a blast.
I legitimately don't know if I've seen that movie.
God, I love it.
I don't think I did either.
There's some cheese, guys, but very little. There's enough kick-ass moments to overcome the cheese factor.
Well, the cover of the VHS of that back in the day had Sammy on it, with the guitar. That's exactly why I insisted years ago on buying a BC Rich Ironbird. They sound like shit, but I had to have one just because of that.
Yeah.
You got Gene Simmons, right? He's playing a preacher in the movie, right?
No, he's the radio DJ.
Yeah, he plays.
Oh, I remember the movie now. All right, okay.
No,
And
Ozzy's the preacher.
Yes.
Ozzy's the preacher,
Sorry.
Yeah. No, what a great flick.
Yeah,
It's
excellent.
Halloween now, guys, so check it out if you haven't seen it, for sure.
I haven't seen it in years, so I think I'm gonna have to break it out.
Good deal.
Yep. All right, Stace, we are on to your number 1.
All right, my number 1, I don't know, I guess maybe I can't believe that it hasn't been mentioned yet, but it's The Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon playing in the background. Kidding. That's not it. What? It is The Wall from Pink Floyd. I mean, it was a weird movie and everything, but man, that was like, I don't know, I guess it was kind of revolutionary at the time. I mean, concept album, 2 discs, 2 tapes, whatever. I mean, just so phenomenal. And, I mean, the album was released in '79, '82, the movie came out. The movie has a few songs that, were not released on the album. So, and they're both When the Tigers Broke Free. I think it's like part 1 and 2 or something like that. And the rest of the songs, like almost all of the other songs, were either re-recorded or remixed, or the vocals were re-recorded over the existing track. I mean, it's different in the movie than it was on the album. But both are awesome. Like the soundtrack to the movie, the music is great. It's just different enough, And of course, the Wall, the album released in '79 is just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And little nugget, Hey You was left off of the movie. You can find the cut clip on YouTube, of course. You can find everything. And then one more thing. Bring the Boys Back Home was like my least favorite song on the album. But after watching the movie and seeing like bring the boys back home from war, man, I was like, okay, that just rocketed that song, right up to the top, because it just had such a cool, message to it.
That's a great pick.
Yep.
That is a great pick.
Yep.
Yeah, never even really thought about it being a soundtrack. for
Yeah,
whatever
me
reason.
either.
Kid, it was a movie. you
Yeah.
know?
Really good pick, Stace. We are on to Jay for our final.
I can breathe a sigh of relief that nobody else has it. Airheads is my number one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I almost
shit.
had that on mine.
I
Forgot
mean,
about that.
it might be one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I think Brendan Fraser is fucking hilarious in it, as is Steve Buscemi. Anyway, Motorhead, Four Non Blondes, White Zombie, Feed the Gods is fucking slamming. I'm not sure who was behind the Lone Ranger song. Does anybody know?
Shit. I did. Give me a second.
Anyway, great song. Stuttering John. I really like Stick. I love Anthrax. I love Candlebox. So this soundtrack, I mean, it checks so many boxes for me. I mean, Primus, the Ramones. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of great tunes.
Hey, G, while he's looking that up, Steve Buscemi was also in that Transformers movie that I saw today. He was one of the characters. So
Really?
if you like him as an actor, he was one of the
Yeah.
Who did
He's
he
a-
play in that? I don't remember. Was it
I don't know the name, man, but he had that.
Fuck Robot? Was it?
Yeah, and then he got his throat crushed, and his voice went up like 4 octaves, and it made it even more hilarious to hear him talking. And they were making jokes about it. The Transformers were about his voice. They're like, "You sound ridiculous." Anyway, I digress. But if you like, yeah. Anyway, Steve Buscemi's
Yeah, I can't forget the song "No Way Out" by D-Generation. That's on there. That's also pretty badass. And a little bit of trivia: Guru might know it. Probably nobody else does. Do you know what band that was supposed to play the Lone Rangers in that movie?
What band was supposed to play the Lone Rangers?
Yep.
Shit, I don't.
Salty Dog.
Nope.
CA.
Bad for Good.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. Yes. the
I
kids,
remember
yes.
that being it. There was a feature in Metal Edge magazine back when the movie was in production. They were supposed to play the Lone Rangers. Then I don't know how or why it switched, but I'm glad it did because I
Yeah,
can't
was they
see the movie any other way.
were they still kids when that movie came out?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that movie
You
came
know-
out in '93. Refugee came out what '92?
I'm
All
looking.
right.
I'm looking right now, but I
So-
got it in my hands right here.
So they probably didn't want a 12-year-old wiping his ass with a contract and a 14-year-old sleeping with the secretary. That's probably why they changed.
It's hard to say, but it was in a somewhere. I mean, I know I still have a Metal Edge that it was in. I have all of them from 1992, I think, until they quit production, or maybe even before that. So someday when I'm bored, I will find it and I will text you guys a picture of the article.
Sweet.
92 was the year Bad for Good came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been '93 when Airheads came out, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was filming the same time, approximately, that their album came.
Yeah, the kids. They're not gonna have kids in that movie.
Hey, I was just gonna. So the Lone Rangers was a fictional band made for the movie. The song was by an '80s punk group called Reagan Youth, but what I can't find like who actually recorded it, like who's. But that might be fucking Brendan Fraser's voice.
I do remember
It sounds like him.
reading something or hearing something where Brendan Fraser did sing on it, but I have no idea who would have played. I mean, he's not a guitar player,
No.
so I have no idea who the musicians were that backed it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Hey,
awesome. trivia.
Before we move on, I found this. I forgot that I framed this. This is an '86 album flash.
Oh,
Joe.
nice.
And it's the real deal. It's not a copy. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, very good pick there to wrap it up.
Yes.
Nobody else had it.
Nobody else had it. I did mention it earlier to Bergie. I said, "Oh yeah, Airheads." I think didn't what band did I say? Airborne. Didn't they play on that?
Well, when this topic came up, and by the way, thanks, Stace. Great way to make a suggestion for this. But when the text went out, Airheads was my first thought for number one. I never questioned it. Just the same as Last Action Hero would have been my number two. Excellent Adventure for number three. The rest of it was the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you guys for all showing up. It was a pleasure having you guys again. We got to kind of wrap it up. I know Chris has got something going on. So
yeah, and we had a few technical difficulties, but all in all, it was a very fun episode to do.
Yeah, it was fun. We'll think up some more shit, or Stace will.
Get him on the show.
Yep. So, anyways, thank you guys very much.
Thank you. It was fun as hell.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It's a great idea.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to finish her up.
Had a great time, fellas.
Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, like and share with all your friends, family, whoever. Check out our merch, whatever you want to do. I don't really care. We're tired.
Anyways, that's a way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
subscribe, and all that bullshit, and we're tired.
We're tired. We're going to bed.
All right.
See you next time.
Thanks.
Peace.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed our content. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. We greatly appreciate it. Links to everything we discussed will be included in episode notes. Feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, stay golden, Pony Boy, and rock on.